Hi guys, I'm Mario Frato and this is Making the Case. It appears there's new evidence against Joe Biden. If you recall a couple weeks ago, Tara Reade had filed a criminal complaint against Biden for sexual assault back in August of 93 when she was working for him as a staffer. And apparently she said she told her mother at the time. And now there's a tape that's come out from Larry King back in 93 where he received a call and the caller didn't say who it was, but she said that her daughter was working for a prominent senator, she had some sort of issue with him, and that she's no longer working for him. And rather than going to the press, because he was such a high profile guy, she didn't want to deal with it, so she just left. Now, the allegation against Biden was that Tara Reade was his staffer. She was told that she needed to run a gym bag to Biden, and I believe he was at a gym. She shows up there with the bag. Biden shoves her against a wall. He starts kissing her. He's talking to her. She's trying to reject him, and she claims that he said, "Come on, man, I heard you like me." Then he shoves his hand up her skirt, and she ends up getting away from him finally. Now, that's not really hard to believe considering Joe Biden's past. We know that he's touched women and children inappropriately. We actually have videos, pictures of that. He's apologized for it. So that's really not hard to believe at this point. Now, I guess we can take a listen to this call and see what we think. And it is worth noting that Tara Reade has confirmed that this was her late mother's voice on the call. So here's that call.
We're back. A couple more phone calls on this very important topic. Our guests are former United States Senator Howard Baker, Richard Allen, former National Security Advisor, and Lois Romano of the Washington Post. San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Well, now, but these are the people who do come to the Lois Romanos, right? The staff worker who says, "I want to let you know about what's going on," either with my boss or the guy down the hall.
And a lot of these people have a sense of obligation. They feel that this public official should be accountable if it's something
They're
wrong.
whistleblowers to the press.
Exactly.
Okay, so that call sounded pretty legitimate. And if that was in fact her mother, this is already more corroboration than Christine Blasey Ford had against Brett Kavanaugh. If you recall with that case, he was going for the Supreme Court. There was all sorts of hearings. There was outrage, Me Too movement, marches. The left was going nuts. Hollywood was going nuts. Alyssa Milano, all these people were going crazy. Now, do you really think anything like that is going to happen here? Blasey Ford said that she told her friends at the time. Nobody remembers saying it. So in this case, you have Miss Reade saying that she told her mother, and her mother that exact month actually called and brought up something that appears to be something like a sexual assault. So I'd like to see what happens with this. I'd really like to see what Joe Biden had to say. But luckily, we do have a response from Biden on this. So why don't we take a listen to that?
It's just, but you gotta, I mean, we gotta reassure, look, my.
Now, obviously, that wasn't Joe Biden's actual response, but that does sound like every question he's answered in the past couple weeks. That's his typical response. It's really funny to me because Joe Biden's supposed to be uniting the Democratic Party, but he can't even unite enough words to form a complete sentence at this point. So let's see what happens. I'm guessing this will probably try to be swept under the rug and we won't get a response at all, but we can always hope and pray, I guess. Something else that was in the news this week is Donald Trump and his injection of disinfectants, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, the claim is that he suggested injecting disinfectants like Lysol or Clorox bleach. Now, I'm going to play the tape for you guys and then we can talk about it. But for now, let's listen to what he said and then we can talk about the media's response to this.
So, supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
Now, I'll be the first to admit that it didn't really sound like he knew exactly what he was talking about there. And the truth is, he didn't know exactly what he was talking about. He gets briefed on these things, and he doesn't have a vast knowledge of these things. But the UV light therapy is something real. They do put that into the body, and it does kill infections and other viruses. So that's really not a crazy suggestion. Then when he says the disinfectant, it goes into the lungs and knocks it out in a minute, he's not talking about Lysol or bleach. There's medical disinfectants. Those are obviously just household cleaning products. But one household cleaning product, which is also a medical disinfectant, is hydrogen peroxide. Now, hydrogen peroxide is actually being put into the lungs, and it kills COVID-19. So that's not really crazy either. There was no point that he suggested it. He said that it's something that to get looked into, and that he's not a medical doctor, which is true. So I don't really see what the controversy is, other than they wanted to hone in on that word disinfectant and then say that he was suggesting shooting up Lysol or bleach or something like that. And that's obviously crazy. And the sad part is that he had to backtrack now and say that he was just being sarcastic, when really it does appear that he was being serious, but because of all the backlash that he's had, he doesn't want to own up to it now, when it really wasn't that big of a mistake. It's just something that sounded a little crazy, and now the media can run with it and the left can run with it. You even have Joe Biden coming out with a tweet on this, and I'd like to know who's running Joe Biden's Twitter account. I mean, seriously, there's no way the guy can tweet. Look at this. Joe's saying, "I can't believe I have to say this, but please don't drink bleach." Now, seriously, does anybody think he wrote that? Could you imagine if Biden actually tried to say that? It'd probably take him a half hour and he'd need a teleprompter. There's no way he tweeted this. At the bottom there that it says that it was done with TweetDeck. I have no idea what that is, but clearly somebody's running his account. I guess this is a moment for Biden to cling to, but it's really sad because it just shows you how poorly Biden's campaign is going. That the only way he can look good is if somehow Trump can look worse than him, and apparently Joe thinks this was his moment. So this might actually be the highlight of Biden's entire campaign. Guys, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, like my page on Facebook, and stay tuned for more. Thanks, guys.